So you're doing all the right things, you're creating videos, you're doing content, but you're still not seeing much business come from it. Today, we're going to teach you how to convert your viewers into actual clients. There's certain things you can put in place to get your viewers to reach out to you and hire you. Today, we're bringing on Trevor York, an absolute content creator extraordinaire, loan officer out of Reno, Nevada. We just got back from the Forward event in Vegas this last weekend, and we talk a little bit about that. But this is an episode you're going to want to take lots and lots of notes on. Let's go. What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 240 of the Massive Agent Podcast. I am your host, Dustin Brohm, an agent in Salt Lake City, Utah. And, well, I'm absolutely fired up today. I have a whole bunch of notes, and I'm not going to talk about all that shit because we need to get into this interview ASAP. We have Trevor York, a loan officer out of Reno, Nevada, and content creator master. And he's on the show today. He's somebody that's built an Instagram following of over 107,000 people just by doing videos. Now, he's not just doing any videos. He's doing videos that appeal to a large group of people. It's not always real estate or mortgage related. And he's doing them so well by choosing great hooks, great topics. And he's going to teach you how to do that. Okay. So not only are you going to learn how to get your videos to convert better, how to get your videos to be watched by more people, but how do you take those viewers and convert them into actual clients? Trevor brought up some stuff that he has when you click the link in his Instagram bio that actually prompts people to work with him. And a few of the things I had never even thought of before. He has stuff for getting real estate agents to partner with him. He has consumers that want to get pre-approved or even that just want to talk and have a consultation. He has these systems in place. And what he's done, if you guys implement just what he's done when you click the link in his Instagram bio, I think you're going to see a lot more of your audience converted into paid clients. When I say paid clients, I mean clients that actually you do deals with, you close them, you sell them homes, and all is well. But then Trevor dives even deeper on how to create content that continues to grow and get people are sharing it and the audience is growing and you're building your credibility at the same time. We're going to talk about creating hooks. How do you choose the hook of a video? A hook is what you say in the first 2 to 3 seconds to hook a viewer's attention. And if you don't know what a hook is, or you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm using a hook, you're not. It's something you have to be conscious about every single time. But once you become conscious, then it's just constant improvement over time. He's going to give you some tips so you skip a lot of the bullshit. You skip a lot of the learning process and go right to being pretty damn good at it. And then it just becomes refining how good you are at grabbing attention right off the bat. So stay tuned for that. This whole episode, you're going to want to take notes. This last weekend, I was in Las Vegas, as was Trevor. He's part of Neil Dingra's mortgage team in Reno. And Trevor was one of the MCs of the event and introduced some of the speakers and even spoke himself on how he's built such a massive successful business with talking to people on the internet by recording videos and putting them online. He spoke a lot about that. But this last weekend was just so incredible. We talked a bit about that. We saw Gary Vee, we saw Ed Mylett. And if you are part of my team or part of the society coaching group, we're diving deep on what I learned from both of those men, which were very, very, very different things. And what I learned a lot of great tactical stuff from Gary Vee and a lot of deeper, what the hell would I call it? Deeper emotional or inspirational things from Ed Mylett that have made me take some action in my business, stuff that I've known I needed to do, but I'm now doing it. For example, I just ordered a second camera because I realized there's so much content that I do for the society group and for my team that is really good shit. They're the only ones that see it. And I think that there's a way that I can take bits and pieces of that and show it to the rest of you guys, put it on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Facebook page reels, you name it, everywhere. And there's a lot more content coming your way. So I bought a second camera. I'm bringing my marketing guy, Lucas, to Vegas next week because I'm going to be I'm going to Inman Connect just real quick, in and out for a day. I have a couple meetings, something I'm working on that's pretty cool. And we're going to get some video, some behind the scenes shit. Just, it's time. It's time to really up the quality and the quantity of what I'm doing. Gary Vee's been talking about this till he's blue in the face for years. And there was something about being in the room at this forward event that Neil Dingra did that made me realize now's the time. A lot of those pieces just got, the missing pieces got filled in, put together just by being there, talking to some of the right people, others who are doing what I want to do or have done what I'm trying to do, that filled in some of those gaps or blank spots for me. But it's time. We're going to talk a little bit today about what some of those things are, and you're going to hear me over the next week or two or three, especially if you're part of the society group, really diving into tactics, what you should be doing, and where you should be doing it. And if you guys follow me on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok, and on Facebook, you're going to notice, you're going to start seeing what I'm doing. And it's what Gary Vee told me to do. So I'm going to do it. Gary Vee told me to do it. Who am I to say no? So there we go. So before we get started on the interview, if you guys are going to be in Vegas this next week for Inman Connect, I'm going to be there Wednesday, Thursday. That's August 3rd and 4th. Shoot me a DM over on Instagram. Say, hey, I'm going to be in town. And if we can, I'd love to say hi, grab a coffee or whatever. And be cool to meet you guys if we haven't yet. So let me know if you're going to be at Inman. And the last big takeaway that I'm going to mention right now from the forward event was that you need to have certain systems in place in order to get, all the people that you're reaching through your content. You could be doing so many of the right things, but if you're making it difficult for people to reach you, or if they're only seeing you once and then they forget about you, that's on you. There's systems you need to have in place. Your CRM needs to be dialed in. It needs to have a great follow-up plan. It needs to have drip campaigns, and it needs to change based on where someone's at in the funnel or where they're at in the process, or have you spoken with them before? So if your CRM doesn't adjust based on these things, you need to really look at Follow Up Boss. They're a great supporter of the show, a sponsor of the show, and because of that, they are so freaking confident in their product. They believe that their CRM and business growth platform is the best in the industry. I would agree, by the way, as would the vast majority of top producers and top teams in the country, because they all use Follow Up Boss. They're so damn confident that they'll just let you try it for a month for free. They're not even going to ask you for your credit card info. They don't care. They're just like, here you go. No credit card required, no strings attached. Just try it out. So to get that 30-day free trial, you need to go to massiveagentpodcast.com/followupboss and take advantage. If you just go to their website, it's only 14 days. So they are hooking you up because you're part of the Massive Agent community. And all you've got to do is massiveagentpodcast.com/followupboss, sign up, use it, kind of important. And then if it works for you, you like how it's put together, kind of sounds like Ron Burgundy. Well, I like the way you put it together. Then use it. Then sign up and use it. If not, now you know. But you've got to at least plug in, try it, and see why the vast majority of the top teams, the top producers, the most profitable real estate businesses in the country all use Follow Up Boss. You can see why. Guys, let's get into it right now with Trevor York, content creator, loan officer out of Reno, Nevada, a true social media influencer who just happens to do a bunch of mortgages at the same time, and somebody who's just an open book. He's such a kind industry leader because he's an open book. He realizes that he's not doing anything super special. He's just figured it out, and he's looking backwards and saying, here you guys go. Here's the blueprint. That's the blueprint we're going to talk about right now with Trevor York. What's up, guys? I am here with Trevor York, a loan officer in Reno, Nevada, and content creator extraordinaire. Trevor, what's up, man? Welcome to the Massive Agent Podcast.
What's going on, Dustin? Thanks for having me on, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we just got back from Vegas. We were at the Forward event that you had a major role in. And we were talking before we started recording just about the impact that event had on me personally, the decisions that I've made, the commitments I've made, the adjustments that I have made is just Trevor, I think it's going to be worth millions of dollars when it's all said and done. So awesome event. You did a killer job. But the reason why you're on the show, and it's excellent timing, coming off that event, but the reason we're having you on is you've become a master content creator, and your content has just performed so well on Instagram and elsewhere that you've reached this influencer status. But it's not just for vanity, right? Like, this is actually increasing your business. You're getting more deals to close. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It feels weird even you kind of teeing it up that way, because it was just something that I was starting to do to help grow my business, and mainly targeted kind of at a local presence. And it's crazy to see that by me kind of figuring out like, what is it that people want to watch? And I was just trying to do that for a local level for people in my market. But it was kind of tailoring these to start to reach more people even out of my market. And then, watching it grow to where it is now is pretty unreal.
That is unreal. So walk me through what happens, when the average client or incoming lead comes from social media. What does it look like? Like, do they email you? Do they call you? Do they text you? Is it a DM? How would you describe that average reach out? Because I think it's important for anyone listening to understand, like, hey, when you start doing the right things, this will happen. And if you already can envision that end result, it's just going to happen a lot faster.
Yeah, so it's interesting because it comes in a lot of different forms. And one of the things that I think a lot of people forget to do is optimize your profile to properly take in business. Because what happens a lot of times when you're starting to get this big reach and have a little bit more of an audience is people don't realize that they can work with you. So then they forget that's an option, and then they just get inspired by something you say. You talk about, a really cool loan program or a way that they could buy a house with a small down, and then they just go to the loan officer that they know rather than to you. So what we've done over the last kind of more year has been focusing on how can we capture these leads and kind of funnel them where we want them to go. And we realized it's funny, you want to give them options. So in a lot of things, like if you want someone to go to a specific direction, you want to give them specific direction. But in this case, what we're seeing is the more options you give them, the better, because people are in so many different states of mind. Some people just want basic information. Some people are ready to pull the trigger right now. Some people are really scared about the process, so you got to make something more threatening. So it's pretty funny. One of the things that I did on mine was there's a get pre-approved button if you click the link in my bio, and then there's a free consultation, which people in our industry know is basically the same thing. A pre-approval is a free consultation. But by switching that verbiage around, the click-through for free consultation was significantly more. So a lot of the leads come through this free consultation, actually, and I actually have that set up with a junior LO on my team. So he takes that initial call through a Calendly. It's either a Zoom call or a phone call. And then from there, we move them along in the process. But then there are still just a ton of DMs, people that find your email. They come in all different shapes and sizes.
Okay, this is gold. I think we need to dive deep here, because a lot of times we don't think through what happens after you create the content, right?
Yeah.
And I tell all my people this, and it's something that I learned a long time ago. Creating the content is just part one. Then you have to promote it and get people to know about it. Yep. But then what? Okay, the next step after that is what happens when it does work and people do reach out and they do want to hire you. And I think it's awesome that you just made it conscious for people. You brought it to the forefront of their brains that you need to make it easy for people to hire you, make it easy for them to reach out. So are you mostly, like, is most of your time and attention Instagram?
Yeah, as far as the content creation stuff, it's definitely Instagram. YouTube Shorts is now starting to get more attention. And then something that me and you were talking about from that Ford event is now I think Facebook's going to start to get a little more attention. But yeah, for now, it's definitely Instagram.
Okay, so Instagram, you get that one link in your bio. Are you using Linktree or something else?
So it's I actually built it myself, but it's like a Linktree or Beacons, or they all kind of serve the same purpose, but just a landing page where you can capture email and then have links to drive them places.
That's super smart. See, as you're saying that, I'm like, oh shit, I don't think I have any great calls to action for people to work with me in mine. I think it's just like, here's the YouTube channel, or here's this, or, listen to the podcast. it's driving them further down the funnel, which is cool. But at the same time, I'm making it hard for people that do want to hire me or work with me or partner with me. Yeah. So that's something I'm going to go fix. And I use Linktree, but I know now there's so many different options. But you just need one link that opens up a tree of links.
Yeah.
So you have free consultation. What else is on there?
I have a link for realtors who want to work with me, because obviously as a lender, that's still a lot of where my business comes from, is from realtors. So yep. I've reached a lot of them through the content, and it was kind of a click for me. The same thing on with that switch of how do I get people to work with me as clients was like, I don't have a good way of capturing realtors. So if there's a realtor in another market who's like, man, I love his videos, that'd be awesome to work with him. They never think like, oh, I could actually do that. So I made sure I have one for realtor meetings so they could set up a time and then we could start working together. I have the pre-approval, the free consultation. There's a type form in there that does kind of a soft, not a pre-qual, but it helps weed through leads. So it says like, see if you're in a position to buy. Because a lot of people who are wondering, man, I don't even know if I can buy. And it's funny because I'm sure you've seen that too with clients, is like, you have a 800 FICO, salary job, no debt. Like, yeah, you can buy. What are you worried about? So we have that. So if someone comes to that link and they're like, I don't even know where I'm at, I just want to get an idea, we have a type form that guides them through all the way. And based on what their questions are, it tells them if they're ready to move forward or if they need to do work on their credit or save up some more money. And then there's a way of capturing emails, which I now have a pretty solid email list built out that I send informational videos to help kind of nurture those leads as well.
That's awesome. And what are you using for your email list? Is it through MailChimp or something else, or your CRM?
Right now I'm just using our CRM, but I'm actually trying to find a more efficient one to use. The CRM we use, it's a Salesforce build out. It's pretty good, but yeah, that's one area I'm looking to improve.
Okay. So you've got a way for realtors to partner with you, which I love, because as a realtor, and the majority of this audience are realtors, when you're creating content and driving a bunch of leads coming directly to you, what agent wouldn't want to partner with you? Yeah. Because now you are a source of business for them rather than the other way around.
Yeah.
How has that dynamic, you being a lead generator yourself, direct to consumer, how has that changed your business? I assume now you can go to some of the biggest agents in town and be like, hey, let's partner together. And now you're attractive to them and they're like, oh, hell yes. Like, is that how it's working?
Yeah, it's funny because it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, because realtors see that and they think like, cool, I'm going to start doing business with you and I'm going to get all these inbound. And obviously, even though you are getting leads, there's still a finite amount, and you have to kind of spread them between realtors you've been getting business from for years, or newer ones, or bigger teams, or whatever it is. And even though there is a lot, there's not enough to go around for everyone. So typically when I'm having those conversations with newer agents I'm trying to get business from, that's definitely a part of it, but that's like the lowest value point. So for me, it's typically like, how can I help you get more deals? Because if I give you a handful of leads, that's great. But what if I get you a lot more of your own, or leads that you haven't converted? So if you have all these dead leads sitting on an email list that were at one point curious about buying a house, like, can we do a video campaign to help recapture those? Can we look at doing a better pre-approval? Can we get them on a free consult call to help them like get through the block in their head that right now is a bad time to buy? So what if we can have conversations or do a webinar with these people? Like, so the value add is usually kind of tries to get away from the leads, just because, like I said, it's a finite amount, and I feel like the value add is a lot more than just leads.
I'm glad you said that. One of my favorite quotes of all time is, it's better to teach a man to fish than to give a man a fish.
Exactly.
Same concept here. Like, I would so much rather show me how to build this myself than just like feed me. Because if you're just being fed by somebody, you're also reliant on that person. Yep. You're not in control. You're at their mercy. If they do something and the business stops, you're dead in the water.
Yeah.
And nobody thinks about that until it actually happens, and then they're like, oh shit. So I'm glad you said that. And you're obviously somebody who has built this big lead this incoming lead system, and you can show agents how to build it themselves.
Yeah.
So that's super cool.
Nice, man. Yeah, and like heaven forbid the leads stop coming in, but it's kind of like
Right.
if you live and die by the I'll be feeding you, the moment you stop doing that is when they get like, hey, this isn't what we agreed on. So if I can have that, just be like, that's maybe an added bonus that comes, but here's the true value, because regardless of if they delete Instagram tomorrow, I can still deliver on 100% of everything else that I told you I can do.
That's important.
Yep.
Instagram's algorithm changes.
Yep.
Yeah, algorithms change, platforms change.
Yep.
So what's really hot right now and producing business right now doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be producing next year or 5 years from now. So yeah, you've got to build your own shit.
Yep.
And so, Trevor, going back to before you started this content journey, how are you getting business then? And then let's talk about the transition to building what you've built.
So it was funny because my when I first started in loans, this was like almost 6 years ago. The manager I had at the start was an older manager. He's been in the game forever, huge hitter in Reno, been doing builder business, like really top dog. And I still have a phenomenal relationship with the guy. But he was really old school. Like he would still handwrite his loan estimates when people would come in. So his way of getting business was just like showing up on the doorstep of these builders, meeting with agents, like kind of the old school way of doing it, and it worked. And I was doing that for the first kind of 2 years. And I had a background prior to getting into lending. I did video. So going through college, I would, shoot weddings on the weekends to make some money and go shoot videos, longboarding and snowboarding with friends. So I kind of had that tool in my back pocket. And in my market, there was 0 people doing it. So I was kind of like, man, I need to start making videos. Like, I think this is the thing. And so I made a video when I was with my old manager, made a video, put it on Facebook, showed him. He was kind of underwhelmed. Then that's not going to work. That's not how the business is done. And then for me, I was putting so much pressure on this one video to generate leads or to see a return on. And that's not how it works. So like I put so much effort into shooting this and getting it right, put it on there. It got momentum and it was really cool. But then I stopped because I'm like, man, I got no deals from that. And it just feels weird putting yourself out there. And I'm talking about mortgages. Like no one wants to hear about this,
Right.
So I think in my first 3 years in lending, I made like 2 videos total. And then it was something I still knew I wanted to do, but I couldn't really figure it out. And then Neil, who I work with now, we're in the same market. He's the only person in my market making videos. And at the time, his weren't good. So I was kind of looking at him very cynical. Before I'd met him, I'm like, man, this guy's videos aren't good. Like I could do better than this, And then once I met him, it was cool because he's actually a really good dude, which I didn't anticipate prior to meeting him. And so he was like, before I started working with him, that first interaction, he's like, dude, here's what you should do. Like you have some crazy skills. You should talk about this and this. And so a couple months of those conversations with him, and I ended up switching to his company, and me and him kind of together like doubled down and just started being consistent. And that was one of the biggest things of being here is he held me accountable and to like just keep going. So I'd make one and then get kind of deflated because maybe the reach wasn't good or it didn't get this big return that I wanted. But then I'd make another one and another one and another one. And it was probably 3 months before I saw some result of putting those videos out, which like admittedly on my own, I don't know if I would have continued to go for 3 months because you feel vulnerable, like you're making these videos, you're putting them out to the world and you're not getting this result that you hoped for. But then when you keep going and then you keep seeing people out and, I'd see friends from high school that I hadn't seen in 10 years that are just like, dude, I love all your videos, man. I watch all of them. Or you get a lead that refers to like, oh, when you made this video is when it clicked for me. And you're like, I made that 2 months ago, 3 months ago. So you didn't realize like, even though people are not really engaging with it, they're watching it and they're kind of silently watching it. And when that time comes is when it kind of generates this return for you. So that's kind of the long-winded of, from getting into it to kind of where it's at now.
I'm so glad you went that direction because a lack of patience kills so much success.
Yep.
You know, there's so many talented agents and loan officers that start out, you know, and when you start out, yeah, it's shitty, it's crappy. Like you're nervous, you're not comfortable, of course, but you have to do it enough. And then they quit after a month, or they quit after 90 days. Well, 90 days
Yeah, that'd
is
be great.
minimum, you know. They just quit way too soon. And I think it's because well, first off, they don't have anyone to kind of push them along. Like they're just like, I should have worked by now. Maybe nobody likes me. Maybe they don't like my voice, whatever. Maybe all you need to do is change the topics you choose.
Yep.
Maybe that's it. Or I know you told me that when you started wearing a hat in your videos and felt more like yourself,
Yep.
it just seemed to start working better. So, you know, sometimes you're just one tweak or two away
Yep.
from everything opening up, but you've got to do it long enough.
Yep.
And far too many people quit too early. And maybe it's not 3 months, maybe it's 7 months.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But my God, if you quit, you'll never freaking know.
Yeah, and it's funny because, I mean, I'm glad you touched on that, because the hat thing, when we were talking about that at the conference, it's funny because it's very similar to when you start in sales. If you go talk to a customer, whatever sales you're in, real estate or otherwise, your first sales call, you are awkward. Like no matter how comfortable personer you are, how personable you are, it's like you don't know your product super well. You don't know how these conversations go because it's your first one, right? And then you'll watch like a veteran person in your industry go to a sales call and you're like, man, it just seems like the same way I'm talking to them, they're now doing that on their sales call. Where all of a sudden I walk into the room and I'm like stiff and uncomfortable and I'm trying to present myself properly. And it's like the client sees that. So it's the same thing in video. Is the experience, a lot of the practice is just making you more comfortable being yourself, because it is new. And I don't know why people set the bar so high for themselves out of the gate. Like if you strapped on skis for the first time, you're not going to like be mad that you're not going down a double black diamond. But in content, people are like, dude, I've done it for a week and my stuff doesn't look like yours. It's like, well, I've been doing it for years. You know, like you go look back at mine or Neil's or even yours, like you're extremely comfortable on camera and your videos are amazing, but I imagine they weren't always that way, right?
Not even close. Not even close. And it wasn't until I came to visit you guys at your office, it was probably a year ago now, that I understood the importance of lighting, and I got a camera that can record in 4K and just has, you know, the blurry background and stuff. Yeah. Just because I was at a point where I felt like the content itself, like the messaging was great, but it wasn't being presented as well as it could. So I saw how you guys were doing it and I made a change. And now I know my content is much better because of that, just by copying what you guys are doing. And I would imagine you guys didn't invent, you know, the way you're doing videos, right?
Yeah.
You didn't invent speaking to the camera. You know, you probably saw someone else do it.
Yep. Yeah, you definitely just get inspiration. And it's cool, like completely different markets, completely different influencers in different spaces, but you get that inspiration from all these different people. And then you kind of make it your own on like, what elements do you like? What did they do right? Whether it's, you know, the way someone's talking or the way someone's shooting or the creative behind it. Yeah, you definitely take inspiration from everywhere.
That's literally the way it's done. And I do that with the way a video looks, like the camera angles. I do that with topics. Like I'll look to your videos and Neil's videos and Sean Kaplan and a bunch of others. And I'm like, wait, I love that topic. So I'm going to take the topic, and then I'm not saying it word for word. Mm-hmm. I'm just taking the topic and doing my own, you know, putting my own spin on that topic. And then the content's mine, you know? Yep. So look at what I believe. There's a lot. I think most agents and loan officers are just not choosing the right topics of the videos. Yep. It's not the quality of the video. It's not that they don't have It's not that they don't have a Sony camera or any of that bullshit. It's that they chose topics that serve them and not the audience that they're trying to reach.
100%.
When did you learn that?
Like, that's the biggest switch, is when you're making stuff for you or for your industry or for, you know, like when you make it for the customer, and when you picture the customer being an average person in America, not like a lot of times we picture our customers being people who are ready to buy a home right now, or maybe even currently buying a home. So I'll see a lot of realtors and lenders making like videos where it's talking about, here's how you negotiate during inspections. the only people that are going to know what that means are people that are already at the point of inspections. Like that's a niche
Right.
of a niche of a niche. That's not going to have this broad reach. So maybe instead of saying, here's how you negotiate something once you get inspections back, what the heck are inspections? You know, like that's a better one of like, okay, when you buy a house, there's something, when you buy a house, this is an area where you can save a ton of money. When you buy a home, you do these things called inspections. A lot of times things come up and people overlook them. So now you went from like that same kind of niche topic, but you broaden the scope on what are inspections and why do I care? Well, I care because it could save you tens of thousands of dollars on a house. It's like, oh, then now I'll listen versus, you know, the alternate way of presenting it.
Yes. Okay, so you just highlighted a point that's super important. It's not just the topic either. You know, a video on home inspections. Okay, well, how do you present that? And you and Neil and so many others have really perfected the hook. You know, what do you say in the very, very, very beginning to hook the viewer's attention and to get them to keep listening? And what do you title the video?
Yep.
What tips do you have for getting really good at that? Because I think I've only gotten better at that probably over the last 6 months, and I'm still trying to get better. But it's a highly conscious thing. Every single fucking time I do a video, I'm so conscious about what title do I put on the video, what is the hook in the beginning, and is the topic even interesting in the first place? So can you kind of walk through your workflow for how you create a video with that in mind?
Yeah. So I think you hit it on the head that the most important part is going to be like be intentional and be conscious, because a lot of people just aren't. So they just pick a topic and then just start talking about it, and they kept it under 30 seconds, so they post it. But like you need to be conscious of this is the most important part is your first line. So if you have a topic, and it's funny because you can have a somewhat boring topic that you don't think people want to hear about, but if you frame it in the right way with that hook, it's going to do well. So basically the framework that kind of an easy way to think about how you can do this on your own. And it is a muscle. It's funny. Like you said, you're getting better at it. The more you do it, the more it comes naturally. Like, oh, I could turn a good topic into a script, or a terrible topic into a script. I mean, but basically you have to start with the solution to the problem. Because if you just start with the problem, a lot of people don't even realize they have it. Where if you start with the solution, they're going to be like, oh, that's really cool. So with that example of inspections is a really kind of minor part of the process of getting a home. So if we're talking about inspections, it's dead on arrival. If we're talking about saving tens of thousands of dollars when buying a house, like that's the benefit of what I'm talking to you about. So a lot of people lead with the problem, then they try and give you the benefit later on. Start with the benefit out of the gate. That's the best framework we've been using. So no matter what topic you pick, there's a way that had you known something at the beginning, this can help you. So if you're talking about appraisals, you know, like we could talk about appraisal gaps or going in under, whatever it is when you're talking about appraisals, which is really boring, flip that solution to the front side. So here's how to keep yourself from paying $20,000 more for a house than what it's worth. Now we're talking about appraisal gaps. You know what I mean?
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. I mean, I'm thinking through the video that I posted this morning, and it was on 40-year mortgages. And when I recorded it, so I recorded it last night, and my hook in the beginning of the video was, you know, finally, is this the key to making homes more affordable? And I like that. I think that's a decent hook. And then this morning, as I'm posting it, I'm like, okay, what should I title the video, like on the thumbnail?
Yeah.
And I was going to do something about housing affordability, and then I'm like, wait, how to shrink your mortgage payments? And I think I wish I would have done that as the hook in the video, but guess what? I'll just do another one, you know, with that hook.
There you go.
There's nothing that says you can't reuse the same damn topic over and over and over, just word it differently. But it's just become a highly conscious thing, and you're not going to be good at it in the beginning, but you sure as hell get good over time. It's a muscle. It really is. So, Trevor, I know a lot of listeners will be writing notes. Okay, they're already writing notes. Can you give some more examples of topics you chose, and then how you chose a hook, and you know how you title it and all that? Like, can you give some examples of stuff you've done?
So there's actually a perfect one, and it goes off of what you just said on redoing the same video twice, because you're like, man, I could have done that one better. So I had, and it happened 2 different times, which is funny. I think it's the only 2 times I've ever reposted one of my videos, because I thought the video was good, but it didn't get any reach, and it was a good video. And so I'm trying to like look closer at what did I do wrong on the hook. So the most recent one was one that it's a video about paying off debt. So when we look at like topics, not a super exciting topic, nobody wants to be told to do that. But it's about how, you know, if you're paying 11% interest on a debt, but then you're investing money and you're getting an 8% return, like you're losing money. You're hustling backwards. Like you're better off paying off that debt. So that was the basis of the video. So I forget what the first hook I did with it was. Like, here's how to a proper way to invest your money and make sure you're going in the right direction. Something simple. Didn't do very well. I think it was like sub 10K views. This was a little bit earlier on in the growth phase, but on my metrics at the time, it was a bad performing video. So I reshot it and pulled the camera out. The only thing I changed was the first line, and I edited the 2 together, so it's not even like one consecutive video. Then I switched it to, because it was the guy who gave me this piece of advice was a multi-millionaire who was telling me this concept of paying off debt. So then I started with, here's the best advice I've ever received from a multi-millionaire. This is what he told me. And then goes into the exact same video. I didn't change anything else. And that one went to like 700,000 views. And that was the only difference, was that first line.
Wow.
And there's another one which
we could end right here with that. Like, that hook is everything.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's crazy how the minute little things make a massive difference. Some of them are really, really subtle. Some of them are easier to find. Like your hook is bad, you know, get a better hook and it gets better reach. The other one, and this was really early on when we were, this is kind of at the start of Reels being a thing. So with Reels, you're reaching new people who don't know your face. So when we used to do Instagram videos, it was people who knew you. They already followed you. So you kind of already had that authority and they were going to listen to your first line no matter what. With Reels, you're reaching people that have no idea who you are, and you got to give them a reason to listen within the first second. So with one of the really early Reels I made was me on a notepad showing how much money you need to buy a $400,000 house. And I had this intro because I'm a video guy, right? Like that was my background. So then I had some fancy intro rolling, some good music, and then approach, and then I start the video. It got like 5,000 views. At the time, that wasn't bad because this was right when Reels was kind of starting. And then I was sitting there, like had it up again the other day, or like weeks later, and I'm like, man, I feel like I could cut out all the fluff in the start. Like I got this 4-second intro with graphics, you know, going into it. So then I re-edited it just because now we're new to Reels. I'm like, I'm going to cut it and just go straight into the meat right out of the gate. Here's how much money you need to buy a $400,000 house. First one got 5,000. Next one got 2.1 million views just by changing the intro. Same exact video.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
And you just had a video the other day that reached you have like over 3 million views on. What's the topic of that one?
That one was about this. Here's why rich people love recessions was the hook on that one.
That's right. Yeah. I took that topic. I was like, that's doing well for Trevor. I took the topic, did my own version of it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it's funny because Neil and I have done that where our hooks are pretty much the same. And then the videos are completely different. You know, so here's why rich people love recessions. You can make a whole series on that of videos. So if you have something good, tie it back.
That's so cool. Okay, so Trevor, you've now reached 107,000 followers on Instagram. Your stuff's just blowing up. Looking back, what would you have done differently along the way? Is there anything that you wish you would have done sooner, or what would you tell people who they're already creating content, but they're still in that growth mode? They're trying to get it to catch on. I consider myself in that boat.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for people like us?
I think it goes back to what you had said earlier, which is just continue to make stuff for the people watching it. Because we get really focused on the vanity metrics of views and followers and all these things. And sometimes we're trying so hard that we're no longer being ourselves. which is a common theme. And me and you talked about it kind of in depth of like, you can tell when someone's, even if you've never met the person, you can tell when someone's being true to them and you can tell when they're not. I don't know what it is, but as humans, we've gotten really good at like, this seems fake. This doesn't seem real. This seems forced. So a lot of people are forcing videos out to look like yours, to look like mine, to look like Neil's, when they're completely different and they need to do their own thing. And so I think like I had a pretty good hand on that. Like I've always tried to be the type of person to be like, I don't care about followers. I don't care about any of that. I just like making cool videos that people watch. And I think because of that, like my focus has always tried to be on make videos that people watch, and then the rest took care of itself. So I think that would be the one piece of advice for people that are trying to build that audience and build that reach, is just relax, be comfortable, and just if you focus on making good content that people are going to watch, the rest will come.
Gold, absolute gold. I believe lack of patience is probably what dooms most people. It's not that they're not good enough. It's not that they're not charismatic enough or likable enough. It's that they just quit way too damn early, because when you quit early, you're not getting as much practice.
Yeah.
If you quit after 3 months, you're not getting as much practice to become comfortable and to get better at choosing hooks and titles as Trevor is. You're not getting as much practice as the person that just keeps recording every single day.
Yeah.
So
and
it's empowering though, right? Because you control that shit. Like we control that. Nobody else does. We control whether or not we hit record today.
100%. And I think like it is, people set unrealistic expectations, but then they also set unrealistic expectations on what they think comes with the views and followers. And I tell this story a lot, which is like, I saw a massive change in my business and a ton of growth before I reached a lot of people. So when I was making stuff, trying to target just my local market alone, it was pretty neat, because when I started doing video, it was right during COVID. So all the networking events that we would go to, they weren't there for like a year, right? We weren't allowed to gather in these huge groups. So during COVID, I was making all these videos. That was right when I started. There was the very first event after COVID. It was like a grand opening of a Remax office here in Reno. When I went there, it was crazy. I think I had 600 or 700 followers at the time. And when I went to that event, realtors were coming up to me and saying, I love your videos. I would love to meet. I would love to pick your brain. Like every time you go to these events as a lender, you're always trying to go to the realtors and justify yourself and get dates set up. And that it was going inbound. And that's when it really hit me of like, holy cow, man, 600-700 followers, but making videos, showing value. All of a sudden my name in our local market was being known by realtors. And I'm like, this is crazy. So you could have a huge impact on your business without having a ton of followers. And I think people overlook that or don't realize that. It starts way before you start getting reach.
I'm so glad you said that. I want to jump into the rapid fire questions that we have for each guest here in just a second. Cool. But I think it's important to say that you're further along than you think you are.
Yep.
And I learned that this weekend at the Forward event. I had so many people came up to me that I had never met. I don't think that I'd ever interacted with them on social, but they've seen my stuff, they've listened to my podcast, and they want to say hey.
Yeah.
And it was like, holy shit, I'm further ahead than I think I am. I'm further ahead than it feels like I am.
Yeah.
And I think that's the case for most people.
Yeah.
You just got to keep going. So that fired me up. But, if I didn't get out there and go to the event and spend the money, to go, I wouldn't have had that big boost, that, kick in the ass to keep going. So,
dude, it was super funny. I had a handful of people come up to me at the event that were stoked after they had talked to you. Like they were starstruck, talking, I've been listening to his podcast forever. I just met Dustin. He's super nice. And they're all fired up. Like there was a decent amount of people that I had that interaction with. It was really neat. That's
crazy.
Yeah.
That's the coolest shit ever. All because one day I decided to talk to the internet.
Yep. I love that.
It's so fucking cool. And every single person listening can do the same shit.
Yep.
100%. They'll attract people that that are attracted to them, and they'll find their tribe. It's you and I, we just didn't quit.
Yep.
We
That's
just kept
the
going.
only difference.
That's it.
Yep.
Right. And of course we improved and seek to improve all the time with every single fucking video and try to get better. But it's the reps.
Yep.
That's what makes you a better golfer is, swinging the club and learning what works and what doesn't. It's what makes you good at anything. So I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. You nailed it. You said it all.
Trevor, man, this has been so good. I've been taking a couple notes on like what I think I'm going to title the episode, and we talked about quite a few things. But I love what you said in the beginning about how you actually convert people into clients, and this, how you have the calls to action and your link and all of that. So we'll probably call it something about converting viewers into clients or something like that, because I think that's super important. It's something I need to do better, and so I appreciate the guidance on that.
Yeah, man.
So every guest we have on, we like to do these rapid fire questions. They're either or. You pick one or the other. You can elaborate if you want to, but usually just blow through them. And then at the end, we'll remind people where they can find you. If they're not already following you already, they're probably already following you. And if not, they are about to.
Perfect.
So let's do it. All right. Facebook or Instagram?
Gosh, man. Now,
After
asked
what Gary
me
Vee
last
told
week,
us,
it'd be Instagram, 100%. I still think at the moment Instagram until I see the results for myself. Instagram
or TikTok?
Instagram.
Books or podcasts?
Podcasts.
Podcasts or audiobooks?
Both. Can I break that?
You may.
Yeah.
You may. Rental property or flipping?
Rental.
Cash flow, baby.
Yeah.
Burgers or pizza?
Burger.
New York or LA?
LA for the weather. You gotta say LA. Yeah.
NFL or NBA?
NFL.
Pro or college?
Ooh. Depends on the sport, but probably college.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Mountains or beach?
Mountains.
Nice.
Yep.
Podcast or vlog?
Vlogs. Love vlogs.
YouTube or Facebook Live?
YouTube.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad or Millionaire Real Estate Agent?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Classic.
Absolute classic.
Yep.
Uber or Lyft?
I'm gonna go with Lyft now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Or in Vegas, it's taxi.
Yeah. No kidding.
learned that over
Whichever
the
one
last
can
few
get
trips.
to you now, it seems like, huh?
Oh, the taxi's right freaking there. Lyft, you have to wait 20 minutes. Lyft is bullshit. Gary Vee or Grant Cardone?
Man, Grant follows me on Instagram, so I feel like I gotta show
shit.
love to Grant, but both of those guys are awesome.
It's a nice, safe answer. Okay, I'll take it. Well, I'm going to throw another one in for you, just in the spirit of the Forward event. Gary Vee or Ed Milet?
Gosh, Ed
know,
was
right?
powerful, man. Seeing Ed Milet live, if you haven't yet, is something to be seen. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Ed on that one.
Fair enough, man. Yeah, I cannot disagree.
Yeah.
Trevor, I appreciate you so much. You've been an awesome leader and an inspiration to me and to the industry. And I'm so stoked to release this episode. I think a lot of people will have some of those missing pieces kind of fall into place in their content journey. And so I appreciate you being such an open book and taking the time today.
Dude, and thank you for letting me on here, man. And thank you for all that you do for our industry, too. It's cool seeing, like, at the event, the amount of people that you've reached and you've impacted, and the resources that you've given away for free for as long as you have is pretty unbelievable. So thank you for everything. And thanks for having me on, man. That was really cool going from being a listener to being on this myself. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely, dude. Well, you earned it. This is definitely a great freaking episode. So
awesome, man.
And if you guys don't follow Trevor, where's the best place they can find you? You know, anything that you want to plug or let them know about?
Yeah, so Instagram would be at Trev York, TREVYORK. That's the best place to connect with me. Let me know Dustin sent you too. Would love to connect with all you guys.
And we'll link that up in the show notes, or if you're watching on YouTube, it's going to be in the description. And just watch Trevor's stuff. He's doing it right. He's setting an example. Just do what he's doing, man. Just do what he's doing. Appreciate you,
brother.
Now, if I was a betting man, I would bet that you've taken at least one full page of notes through this episode, hopefully. And if you're listening in the car or while you're walking the dog or, driving to showings, hopefully you're at least taking notes on the notes on your phone so that you can come back to them. But implement this stuff, especially how he prompts and makes it easy for viewers and listeners to reach out to him to do business with him. Do those things. There's no reason why we're creating so much friction for people who may want to hire you or even just ask a question about how something works. Why are we making it so hard? So make sure you put that system into place. And you can do that not just on Instagram, but damn near anywhere. You just have a link that opens up and they have multiple options. It's time to do that shit. And then it's time to make the adjustments with your content, improve over time. I promise you, like we said, like you just heard, the people who are really wildly successful that drive a lot of business from their social media, they're people that just didn't quit. They just kept doing it and they kept improving and consciously trying to improve it every single time they hit record. And if you are willing to do that, and don't put a time limit on it. Don't put a time limit of 2 months or 3 months or 6 months or a year. Just do it daily. Do it daily. Get better every day. And at some point, I don't know when that is for you, but at some point, it's going to start paying off. And you just got the blueprint for it right here. This is going to speed up your success, speed up your results dramatically. Guys, before we head out, make sure that you go over to the Massive Agent channel on YouTube. Please subscribe over there. We're doing a shitload of YouTube shorts. And starting this week, I'm going to start recording videos specifically for YouTube that you're not going to find anywhere else, only on YouTube. And go hit subscribe because you're going to want to see these. I'm going to be taking all the topics of... Basically, I went into my DMs. Okay, so Gary Vee says all your best content is in the DMs. Go into the DMs. What are you guys saying? What are you guys asking? Which issues do you have? I'm taking all of these and diving deep in videos about them and giving you context because there's only so much context I can give in a 30-second TikTok or reel. There's only so much I can do, so we're doing it on YouTube. That's you're going to want to be subscribed to that. If you would, please share this show. If you found this to be valuable, if you learned something new, please share it with somebody that you are connected with in our industry, another agent, a lender friend, a title person, your team leader, another agent you're friends with who's on the other side of the country, whatever. But share this show. It helps us grow. And we will be back next week with another episode of the Massive Agent Podcast. Thank you so much. Take care.